my intentions to catch up on the grants program, and not sure if Nate has something for the SPA that as well. Distractions none, but I'll be hoping off at the top of the hour. Yeah, I'll pass it on to Nate.
Yeah, my intentions are to kind of catch up with updates on the grants, see if we can organize TE round evaluation for tomorrow. And yeah, my distractions are currently, nothing, just early morning. So I'll pass it over to Joseph.
Intentions. Not sure whether to share the marketing report today or whether it should be tomorrow during the communications meeting. And then also, that's it. And then also, obviously do the spaces for 2 today and 1 tomorrow. And distractions. Laptop. I thought my laptop broke on me, so even though I don't have any hair, I was ripping out my scalp skin because I was like, no, but it's just that, I need to buy a new laptop. Apart from that, that's it. Michelle, pass it to Tam. I'll pass it to Tam.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Funny that you said that. Last night, my laptop wouldn't turn on either, and I had thought that it was a goner. And after trying a bunch of different things, it eventually turned on, which was... So I feel your pain. I can deeply empathize for knowing you have to buy a new laptop right now. It's tough. Intentions. So maybe some useful feedback around the Twitter space earlier this week. If we could build an agenda now. And so maybe just, I don't know, everyone's probably feeling the same pain around the gas fees for Gitcoin grants. And I am not sure I will be able to donate to all of the rounds that I had hoped to, because quite frankly, I just can't afford the gas. So maybe seeing if there's any strategy that we can help ourselves and help others for when we could find affordable times to actually donate to Gitcoin grants this round. And whatever else comes up. I have no distractions. I do also have to leave at the top of the hour, but that's all. I'll pass back to you, Bear.
Thank you, Tam. For me, intentions, I guess the same thing, like going through the grants, if there's any update, and in regards with the communications that we can still push forward during these last few days of the round. And also, again, I'm a little unsure on today's call, but I also had a couple of things that if there was time, I'd like to share. They're in Notion of things that I've been working on. And I've also wanted to hear about Joseph's report on the communication stuff. I think that's really interesting. And also I'm willing that if there's finally time also to hear about Nate's update on the SPI. And also even in the curation service, there's a lot of exciting things that seem to be moving around that. So distractions, not really, no. I think we are all clear. So maybe, I don't know, what we could do maybe is just talk about the Twitter Spaces, Tam, if you have any feedback, and we can start to maybe brainstorm a little bit on the days we have ahead, and I'm planning on that front. And also Nate and Joseph on any feelings of how you've been feeling doing those Twitter Spaces and the response. I've also been there in a couple of them, so I also have my thoughts. But let's open the floor first.
So first, I'd like to commend Nate on his preparation and the way that he facilitates the call. I thought it was really, for me, I feel like, oh, Nate's found his calling. The preparation and sort of behind the scenes work for that was really, really well done. And I really enjoyed the way that he just handled, it was just myself and Black Boy, but the questions and the flow, it felt really nice. I feel like it would be nice to actually go back and listen to that. So just like huge applause for you, Nate. I would say though, nobody showed up. Or very few people showed up, and we didn't really promote it. And so, unfortunately, I don't think anyone knew it was happening until about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the call itself. So I think it was pretty difficult for us to get people. Also, it's not just that. That's not the only reason people didn't. I mean, certainly that's one of the reasons, but the other contributing factor was that there was maybe two other Gitcoin. I think there's definitely one big Gitcoin grant round, Gitcoin grant Twitter space going on at the same time. And there is probably about, I think, 50, 60 listeners there. So that would have also made it hard just in terms of the timing that we selected. But the two things I would say is perhaps we can work on improving promotion and be aware or somehow coordinate any conflicts with other Gitcoin grant Twitter spaces that are happening at the same time. That's my feedback for that. Maybe Nate, do you have any other thoughts you want to add?
Yeah, I think the biggest issues with this was the short time period we had to do these spaces. Like, I wanted to give everybody a chance to get up there and kind of shield project or dive deep into their project. But coordinating 16 projects with everybody with different schedules, and we have kind of basically two time slots a day to fit in these Twitter spaces. It's been a little bit difficult to get everybody and satisfy everybody's needs for that. And so I think in future rounds where we do have more time, or we can set the dates properly for when the round opens and when the round closes on our own, we could schedule a little bit more time to actually do that, so we can have promotion and things around it to really highlight these types of engagements with these projects. I think there's a lot. Yeah, like to me, I have a lot of feedback, and I think that this is something that we could incorporate. I really do think we should have a retrospective on this grant round. I think we've collectively learned a lot, and I think we're just kind of keeping it close to the chest until it's all over with. But I think that at some point we'll need to kind of just sit down and process it for a minute. So, but yeah, right now we have 5 spaces left, 2 today and 3 tomorrow. And yeah, I think that it covers almost everybody. I give everybody an opportunity to create their own space. But yeah, I agree. The promotion is not there. And, with all the rounds being at the same time, it was kind of clashing with a lot of things. So definitely room for improvement. But, moving forward, we'll have a lot to base this off of and plan for. So I'll pass it to you, Bear.
Maybe I'll just jump in. Have those been promoted yet? I wasn't aware that I'm following Token Engineering Commons, but I wasn't aware that any Twitter spaces were happening today or tomorrow. Is that been tweeted?
No, not yet. I literally just finalized them this morning. Curious Rabbit got back to me for bonding curves, and Jessica got back to me for CAD. And so they finalized those two for 11 and 12 today. So it's one of those things where it's just like I wish we had more time to make sure everybody had a time slot available for them. But a lot of them had to change last second or move it to another day because of other conflicts in their schedule.
Yeah, I was gonna add in my marketing report, I kind of like go. I don't go into super detail, but I have like thoughts about like, especially for next time when we do like a grants round and things like that. Because I'll just share some now. So with regards to promotions of like Twitter spaces and things, I think our first one that we done was our most successful one, and one of the main reasons why is because even though I think we only done promotion I think a day before or even 2 days before, because everything was last minute, but the fact that we had multiple projects in one space rather than individual projects in their own space, with regards to even tweets, listeners, and whatever the case is, the metrics were much more stronger for that one space where everyone turned up to, compared to others where we've had to work around people's schedule and then tweet it out last minute, or just literally create a space and then see if anyone kind of joins. But yeah, that's all down to like, time constraints, like Nate was saying, and people got lives to live and projects to do and stuff like that. But definitely for next time, I think we should have the approach of us being in demand rather than us chasing the projects. Sorry. So for example, if we say, obviously with due advanced time, in the next 2 weeks or in the next 3 weeks, whatever the case is, we're going to have these 5 Twitter spaces over on these dates, at these times. Any projects that want to promote or shill, go for it, and then we have, like, opportunities for multiple people, for multiple projects to come and talk about it and have and fester the conversation and things like that.
I just want to change our framing. There's still 5 days left. I think we should be making these improvements right now, not for the next round. And I think 24 hours minimum is what we should be sending out the first promotion about. Save the Twitter space, get reminded when the Twitter space starts. That should happen 24 hours before the actual Twitter space happens. And then from there, I don't know. I hear I hear the challenge, Nate. But maybe it has to be like, hey, we're having a Twitter space, and whoever shows up, we just roll with it. We don't try to structure so rigidly the exact people that we want, because that makes it less easy for us to be agile and flexible to whoever shows up. I think more it benefits the audience to know that it's happening versus benefiting the people who we're inviting to speak, who then show up and have nobody there listening to them. So I think changing the strategy a little bit could work. And I think we should do it now. And 5 days is still 5 days.
Yeah, I guess my only question would be, I do have the time slot scheduled and confirmed for almost all of them except for index wallets and the token engineering review round. But the thing is I guess the weekends, I don't know if there's a lot of attention being paid on the weekends, or if people are willing to actually go and do the space on the weekend. And yeah, we have 5 days, but I look at it as kind of like we have 2 days and maybe Monday. I'm not sure exactly what time the round closes, but yeah, as long as you think, I haven't looked at the statistics or anything like that. Jay Haney might have more insight on it in terms of the attention that we capture on weekends, but most of it's kind of the weekdays between, whatever I think it was like 9 and 1 p.m. PST. So I'm not sure. We can make those adjustments, but I'd have to contact them immediately. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's a really good point. I also am not sure how active Twitter Space is on the weekend, but there's a bunch of people we can reach out to. Almond is always a great resource for Twitter Spaces. She has really a lot of experience in managing Twitter Spaces, so I would ask her what she thinks. And then maybe we just get out all of the any Twitter space that we have coming up just today, get them all out so that people can start to set reminders and plan to participate. People listening can plan to participate, not just the speakers. And then if the speakers who said who said they would show up don't show up, if they're not sure, that's just it's a happy surprise if they show up. And if they don't show up, it's oh, last minute thing, couldn't make it. We just kind of roll with that, if that makes sense too.
For sure, yeah. The scheduling aspect has been just kind of a nightmare, and chasing people down, and yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely review what we have so far, and make adjustments and see if we can make it a little bit more improvement, and at least test it out and see if it actually works in terms of the promotion and planning. Especially the last one, where we want to kind of invite a bunch of big token engineers to the space to review the projects in the round, and pick their favorites and kind of discuss what they enjoy, what they like, what they want to see funded. That's kind of the big one that we want to have, and perhaps we should move that to either Monday morning or sometime during the weekend to see just, if we do promote it like this, to see what kind of a response we get.
Well,
Just one quick thought.
Sorry.
May I just jump in? I don't know about everyone else, but I am hoping that gas prices go down over the weekend. I tried to go donations on Monday morning and it was a fiasco. Like it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars to make the donations that I want to. So I would suggest, if it's at all possible, even to do something Friday instead of waiting till Monday, which is the last day, I think. It would probably have better results, but that's just one of the factors to take into your considerations.
GML, a few things as well. I heard from Connor earlier today. One thing we can promote, for example, is the use of gas hog. I'll just throw the link in here, which is like you send the transaction through gas hog, and gas hog waits till gas prices are better to submit it. So that's one option. And then the Gitcoin team is, let me see what Connor said. They are encouraging people to take advantage of lower fees at night or over the weekend. So we should definitely try to, make a call to action on Friday and even throughout the weekend to remind people to donate then. And now that we're talking about marketing, they also said that if there's anything they can help with marketing, a retweet or whatever, that we should just send them the information. So if there's anything, please let me know so I can forward the content.
I've just I tweeted out today the roundup space for tomorrow, and then with regards to the link you just sent and the advice you just gave, I can tweet it out, let's say as we speak now. Like best practices with regards to becoming, like, having cheap gas prices and stuff like that, and then just drop the link and then just say, preferably if you can, try to look for gas prices at night, it might be easier and stuff like that. And then if those two tweets can be tweeted out, then and then we kind of take from there.
Yeah, so Isaac, it's good that you're back. We were talking about the grants program. As you see, the Twitter Spaces, some feedback on those. Trying to readjust for the days ahead while the round still it's running. So I don't know if you have anything else to comment on that front, or if not, I don't know if I also wasn't clear if there was an agenda for today or if there's any ceremony happening today. So you might have a better idea on that. So I'll pass it on to you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I can expand a bit on the grants program. I think. Let me just share the screen here 1 second. So Gitcoin just made this very cool dashboard. Let me know if you guys can see the screen. Gitcoin made this very cool dashboard. I'll share the. Let me see. There's an official link. 1 second, that we can share publicly as well. Let me see if I can find it. One very quickly. Okay, this one. Gitcoin.co/grants-data. And so here we can see a bunch of the stats of the core and feature rounds. And actually we are a bit better than what I thought, I guess. So for instance, for example, crowdfunded in terms of money, we are on top of ENS. In some other smaller rounds like the Global Chinese or the Phantom Minis, which is the stable resistance round, and refi local nodes. So not too bad, to be honest. Just behind Mantle and on top of ENS. As far as total contributions by numbers of people contributing, we are just behind Meta Crisis. I guess we can take this as a signal of ourselves being a bit more niche, but actually having a decent volume in amount of money, which I think is pretty cool. And then we can see more precise information here with regards to projects and all of that. I won't go a lot into detail here because, well, you guys can check it out later, and we'll probably use this to make some reports and all of that after the run has ended. But I think overall, just wanted to signal that we have done a pretty good job, all things considered. Um, yeah. Any comments about that, or I guess
I think.
yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, no, definitely this is good for any thread to look at. Yeah, it's good for any thread that we wanna create, or even social media posts we want to create with regards to like retrospective thoughts about, you know, how we thought the round went and how we, you know, stacked up against other projects and things like that. So yeah, it's from a point of creating content. I think this is definitely a good resource.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if we can have a very quick, if I can have a very quick TLDR of the com stuff that you guys were chatting about, or was it, you know, like, was it anything meaningful, important?
Yeah. Well, I can let Tam speak, but yeah, with regards to promotion, I was just talking about what I've noticed looking at the Twitter statistics in the background, and Nate was talking about some of like the complications with regards to actually scheduling the spaces, because you know we're working around people's time. Tam suggested that we just literally tweet out when we're going to do the space, and then if the person doesn't, if the project or the people that are going to do space don't turn up, they just don't turn up, and then we kind of like take it from there. So like the middle ground is to from this point forward now, literally tweet out all the spaces that we're going to have, and then if people join, and if they join, they join. If they don't, they don't. Yeah, my only thing thinking of it just now is if someone comes to our page and looks at like 5 or 6 tweets with like different Twitter spaces, not knowing which one, not knowing who's going to join which one, then someone might be confused about which one to actually join, if that kind of makes sense. Especially if we don't make it kind of personalized. So it's kind of like a catch-22, but trying to find a middle ground to have the best practice in order to actually promote. Maybe there could be, for now, or even and for now, and especially for next time, like having a landing page on like Notion or whatever the case is, with all the Twitter spaces and who's potentially going to be there, and in that way people can pick and choose which ones that they want to join. But for now, it's all about just tweeting out the spaces as soon as possible and getting the promotion done as in the best way possible. And we was also discussing about maybe doing Twitter spaces over the weekend, but we're not sure. I need to look at the statistic. I need to look at the Twitter stats with regards to how much of our community is actually online. But so yeah, that's what we was kind of discussing.
I can propose a kind of, I can propose something to handle this uncertainty about who is showing up where. It's kind of a, you know, a Band-Aid solution, but I really want to say that I appreciate the effort of having very structured Twitter spaces, but it's so difficult to manage people's schedules. And I think this is one of the reasons why we're not able to promote it in sufficient advance for people to join, at least the Monday one. I don't know how well attended the other ones were. And, you know, I think Token Engineering Commons is niche enough and discrete enough that, or token engineering as a discipline, is that we don't need to further make it more discrete, if that makes sense. So it's, hey, come join us with, I think, how many projects were there in our, there's under 15 projects. So some of our 15 projects are going to speak. If we know that they're going to come, we can promote their name and their project. And if they give us a sort of, maybe yes, maybe no, then we don't. But I think we can do something like that so that we have some flexibility to also get momentum and get people interested and excited about joining our Twitter space. And at the same time, give the people, the project, some flexibility about managing their own schedules. Something like that, I think, could be a possibility for these next, 48 hours, or if we include the weekends, plus.
I just added there some notes that we were already taking. I had created another agenda doc there, but just included it here and what you just created.
Sorry, I just see here because usually I put them on top. Sorry. But yeah, I agree with what you Tom said. And I think we can also recycle a lot of content. So like all the spaces we've had, we can retweet them. Some other content about very particular grants or even all grants that we can push forward. I don't know. I think, for example, in general, Giveth's a strategy to promote stuff has been pretty good lately, and maybe an inspiration to look for. And then so one thing we wanted to do is have have like some bigish names on a space. Because of time and schedules, we weren't able to do that, but maybe um, we can try to have them tweet asynchronously about the round and their favorite grants. For example, I know Griff has done it. Maybe he can just do it again, to copy and paste, or give himself a retweet. And if there's someone else that we can try to plug in that has a nice audience, that also be really nice.
Uh, I've not been actually to none of those spaces because it's almost starts midnight for me. But what I feel is like what I thought is like you have the frequency of Twitter spaces is more, so maybe reduce the frequency, maybe keep it one or two, and let's take more time for the outreach. Maybe asking ecosystem friends to retweet, reaching out to speakers and things. Maybe that could amplify the reach maybe.
I'm having the
Yeah.
impression. Sorry, go ahead. No, I was literally going to say, yeah, Marathon Man, the data from the Twitter statistics definitely backs that up. Having fewer spaces but more people join those spaces is better for engagement and having eyes, and actually people joining than having many. So sorry to cut you. How's that? No worries. I'm having the impression. Let me note this down. I have the impression that it's probably going to be best if, for the days that we have left, which are, it's more than anything the weekend. I don't think people are going to join anything that's synchronous that requires them to be in like on a certain period of time committed to that. It's probably best if we try to focus on small tweets with clear call to actions, and we just post them frequently. I've noticed that's what a few people do. Seems to be working, although I can tell because it's not something I've been focused a lot on. But probably something to consider. So like, there's a few things we can focus on. One is the matching boost. The thread is going live again. I think it's today or something like that. But throughout the weekend and throughout the rest of the week, we can have one or two tweets that just say, "Hey, remember to get your T boost," and then a link to the thread, for example, just to give context. And likewise with donations. Just I don't know, just
3 days left to donate. Make sure you go to the T round and cast your donations, and a link to the round, and things that are very simple that people, once they see it on the timeline in Twitter, they don't have to read a lot. They can just click, go ahead, and make their donations.
And can I just hop in just very quickly? So I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to donate this round. And I think a lot of people are feeling the same pain that I'm feeling in terms of the gas fees being $50, $60 just to donate $150, $200 per round, sub round. I think there's 15 core rounds and sub rounds. So I might suggest, rather than the call of action being, hey, donate, the call to action might be, gas is cheap now. Now's the time. Here's Gas Hawk. Like, giving people signals for when is most advantageous to donate, because I would love that personally. I'm really actually worried I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, I'm going to donate to TEC round, but that might be the only one I donate to, and it's going to cost me $60. So I think the call to action of like when people can reasonably donate in a time that most people can afford is a much better use of people's attention.
I agree. Yeah, I like that. I actually like that a lot. And that's something we can, even all of us do. I don't think we all have access to Twitter, although we can set that up later. But drafting a very quick tweet about that and just putting it out during the weekend should be easy, and even through TweetDeck we can schedule some of those tweets. So maybe, and well, actually today I don't think we have that long of an agenda to cover the full of the 2 hours. So maybe what we can do is try to reserve some small time at the end, craft some very quick tweets that we can get scheduled right away, and one thing less to worry about.
I mean, is there a way to actually send these projects money on a layer 2 without having to go through the Gitcoin grants protocol and still apply some type of ability to match manually, since we're doing it manually anyway?
I mean, technically, yes. I don't think we're doing it. Too much complexity. We would have to get them set up an address on a layer 2 that they are able to access the funds, communicate that. Probably not worth it. Maybe just chat. Overall, I think we should not stress too much about the situation. It is what it is. Mainnet fees are high. Everyone is aware, and this is our first round, a beta round, and looking at the data, we're actually doing not too bad. So I think we should just go with it, go with the flow, and just improve for next time, which is likely going to be layer 2.
Yeah, I want to agree with NT. This was just a strategic miscalculation on Gitcoin's part to make this on mainnet. And I don't think we should take it upon ourselves to make some sort of like backdoors and I think we just let it run its course. This is the beta round. It's, in its name. And I think Gitcoin will certainly take the feedback from everyone who wasn't, who's feeling the gas pain point on mainnet, and have a solution in the next round. I don't know that we need to design one ourselves, but it's a good thought exercise.
Yeah, they have actually hinted at an OP based rollup, and I've seen some comments on Twitter with some soft commitments of having the next rounds on a layer 2. So yeah, seems like that's going to be the direction. Cool. Is there anything else about the grants program or any other quick update? Just we have to remember last Tuesday we didn't actually finish planning this sprint because we are getting used to this and we don't really have a backlog ready. So We may as well spend some completing some other stuff we may want to have ready on this sprint, and then take some time to for the, let me add this here, um, for the Twitter content during the last days of the round. So yeah, I'll count to 5, and if there's nothing else, we'll just move ahead. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. Okay. Well. I'm just seeing Gideon here. Hey Gideon. So we chatted about the grants program. I'll just go through it very quickly because we are about to move on. But so the Connor sent these dashboard, and we can see that statistics from all the core and feature rounds. In terms of money crowdfunded, we are not too bad. We are just above ENS and behind Mantle, which I think is good. I honestly thought that we were going to be last because we seem to be the nichiest of all. And then by the number of contributions, we are just behind Meta Crisis, which I think, given the how niche is talking engineering and how little projects we had in the round, is not too bad. So I'm overall pretty happy with it. We can see here the table of donations with the amount of money per project, yada yada yada. We didn't spend a lot of time here because you can check it later. I threw the link here in the chat, and then we chatted about marketing stuff. So we have to make a last push to get some more donations throughout the weekend, and also because that's the time where gas prices are likely to be lower. Um, and we agreed that it's probably best if we make some small tweets with clear call to actions to get people to donate and get TEC for the matching boost. I think those are the two main topics. And Tom also suggested that we tie all the call to actions to gas prices. So timing Ethereum so that we can send information, so people, when we get the attention of people, they can see and notice that gas prices are good enough for them to go ahead and make the donation. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
I do. I'm sorry I'm late. I just was on a call with Angela that was pretty intense. Like we were in the middle of some stuff. So I have two quick updates that I think are kind of important on this front. One is trusted. So we talked last time about, let's go to where the people are who have the ability to boost. So the NFT, the TEA NFT holders, and then TEC holders. So I talked to Max from Trusted Seed. They're totally on board with. Did you guys talk about this already? Trusted Seed?
Nope.
No. Okay. So they're totally on board with getting the word out to the Trusted Seed network, which is great. So these are a lot of TC holders, and we just so Ivy followed up with me like almost immediately, and I sent it on to you, Isaac. So we just need to come up with some copy. I would suggest we jump on it right after this call. Come up with some copy to send out to the Trusted Seed, and then also I just talked to Angela, and she's totally up for sending like a custom message to. They have a role for graduates. They can also send out an email to the NFT holders. So that's perfect. So what Angela asked is like, could you just do like a step by step, like really make it simple, like here's what you have to do in order to donate to these projects, and get TEC, because unlike the Trusted Seed folks, a lot of these students may not necessarily have TEC. So yeah, it would be great maybe if just like right after this call, if we can, like just have a little huddle about like how to put those messages together and get that to them ASAP, so that yeah, maybe they can even do it over the weekend when it. I'm assuming these prices. I think that's a great idea. Well, like when it's low, jump on it.
Cool, sounds good. Okay, so yeah, the next thing I suggested that we do today is to now continue for a bit to build the backlog and things we have to do during this sprint. And then we can, I don't know, we can reserve 30, 15 minutes of the call to plan some of those tweets very quickly between all of us. Make, I don't know, if we can make one good tweet each one, I think that's enough um, for the 5 dates that we have left for people to donate. And then we can just continue with the copy for the trusted seed and the academy. Does that sound good, Gideon?
Sorry. Yeah. Can you just say the last part again? It cut out for me just real quick.
Yeah. So planning, building some more tasks, seeing what we have to do during the sprint, and then have 30 or 50 minutes of the call to brainstorm and build and make some small tweets for the 5 days we have left, and then continue to do the copy for the trusted seed and the academy. Okay, cool. So checking here very quickly what we have for today, what we have planned so far, the designs. We are working with acid laser. A bunch of them were already delivered, but the task is there until the round finishes pretty much. This one is some work we are doing, Bear and I, and I guess I can move both of these. This one are to get in touch with the trusted seed in the academy. Then there's the content about the TA boost, which is I guess we can phrase this better because this was supposed to be the copy for the reach out, so the copy for the academy and the trusted seed, pretty much. That should include the TA boost, but also some other things. This is work. This is something I have to do with Rex to build out the script to apply the matching boost to the donations. Here below we have the payouts, because to do the payouts we have to do first the matching boost, and we agreed that payouts are going to be included in this sprint if we get everything on time, but not necessarily something that must be done this sprint. We can, if anything, we can do it on the following one. And then a feedback form for grantees to just see how was their experience, how can we improve it for the next sprint, and a closing blog post that we also are going to do for the next sprint, so by the end of the month. What are things that we should be working on, that we should deliver during this 2-week period, remembering, having in mind that this sprint should end by the 15th?
So, Isaac, should this all relate specifically to the Gitcoin project, or are we opening it up to other things? So, for example, one thing that I'd like to figure out is like, what's our next project after Gitcoin? Should that be included in this or not?
Yeah. Remember, this is team centric, so whatever has to work on should be in here. Let me just very quickly add these. So Twitter copies with CTA. So I'll just add small, quick tweets with to get more donations. Include timing and gas recommendations. I'll clean out better later. This is content, communications. And because you, well, let me ask, I'll ask you first, but because you are usually, um, because you're on top of communications, is it fine if I assign it to you, Joseph? We are probably going, all of us are going to do something, or hopefully, but just want to have someone,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
No problem. No problem at all.
cool, okay. Um, yeah. Did you ask Gideon because you wanted to add some other thing, or?
Yeah, I have two suggestions. One is I think it would be great to start a document that's just like that we can just keep adding to. It's like our learnings, what we've learned from running this round. That's one thing.
You mean something more internally focused, or what? Because I was thinking of the closing blog post as a report on the run itself, and that would probably include some learnings. Or I'm not sure if you're looking for something more specific.
Yeah, I'm talking about an internal document. Like, do we need to do 50 days? Like the thing you and I talked about. Like, would it make more sense to do smaller rounds more frequently? Does it? It's like just capturing some of those things now while they're front of mind. Like, would we do Ethereum again? As like like, would we look for, like the things where we run into problems this round? Let's just capture it so that we can then add those for any future rounds we do to try to solve those problems in advance. So that's one thing. Just like create a document.
Okay, sounds good. I have assigned it to myself because I feel very comfortable doing it. But if anyone else wants to take on it, please let me know.
That's perfect. Yeah. And then
Okay.
the second thing is the thing that I mentioned, which is, we're going to come off of Gitcoin, and then, if we don't all want to be just sitting around twiddling our thumbs, what's the next project that we're going to be working on? There are a few things that are kind of out there. There's the curation stuff that needs working on. That's a possibility. I got some feedback from, so Angela's asked, like, there's a couple things that she's interested in, like getting some help on that are kind of interesting, like helping them to organize outreach for events. I was like, oh, that's interesting because, a long time ago we talked about doing some type of virtual conference. And so, maybe there's some ways that we could start to kind of learn how to do that. So basically, what's our next project?
Okay, sounds good. I'm putting it as like a document with a prior overview, thinking of something that we can actually deliver. So try to have a small document that has all the things we can work on, and then we just make the decision. Does that sound good as something that we can deliver this time?
Yeah, maybe what I can do is if you sign that to me, I can kind of like start just pull together like 3 ideas that are floating around, and then we can use the time next week on maybe the Tuesday call with the broader group to start to get some feedback on where people think the greatest value is, and then use that to lock it down.
Okay, cool.
Can I ask like Nate if the SPI stuff could be put into that, or does Nate do you want to keep that totally separate from like any sprint that we do in the future?
No, with the SPI stuff, separating the curation service from the SPI is my first priority. I think the curation service is its own independent project that needs to be focused on. And while we have a group of people that are developing the onboarding tools and to manage the database it's going to happen with. What we need to do is figure out exactly where to plug these, plug the curation service into different communities, and finding the right token engineering communities that are actually doing research and actually, producing work that we can actually have them onboarded into this product that will eventually develop around it. And then the second thing is the SPI, which is the Shelling Point aspect of it. And this is something that I think is, what's going to be paramount to it. We've tried a bunch of different things. The Reputations Research Group was one of them. And during that time, we kind of learned a lot about the difficulties of becoming the Shelling Point within the TEC Discord itself, and trying to figure out how to meet people where they are. But I do think that integrating with the Token Engineering Academy is a high priority. Like it's an antecedent before an SPI can actually form. I think that the community for the Token Engineering Academy should be our focus. But this is something that long term, I think there's a lot of plans that maybe Angela has and TEA has that we need to start to kind of integrate with them more closely. But yeah, I do think the SPI is a part of that in the long term, but not the priority. I think getting the tooling around, so when we do have research and interest groups that are forming, they have things to use and they're effective in their use. So yeah, that's just my thoughts around it.
I will say one thing just to kind of throw this out, since we're talking about it. The feedback I've gotten from Angela on this front is, she's very focused on this AI thing, and I think we'll talk some more about this in the coming weeks. And I want to have her come in and share some of the results of the research and the work that they've been doing, because it's super exciting. I honestly feel like this is the future of the TEC, and actually the field itself, and it's the key to like building real token utility for us. So she's urging, like, let's not get too distracted by doing too many things, and I think it's good counsel. Having said that, I still think that there is some role for the curation, because a lot of AI, most AI is based on feedback loops, where humans are training the AI. So I think that, this is part of what I was talking to her about just now. How might this fit into this AI project? Her initial take, she was initially kind of bullish on that idea, but after they've been digging into it a little bit, she's not seeing as much relevance. So we can talk about that a little bit more. The question that I was pushing back on is like, well, but maybe it's important using curation as a way of building the network, for a lot of these kind of newer token engineers or token engineering practitioners. So I think one of the things that, what we talked about is when she gets back, she's going to be coming back on like the 16th of May, is like setting up a time to actually start to brainstorm a little bit about how the curation might fit in with the overall vision of this AI thing. So Nate, that's just an FYI for you. Until then, she's somewhat skeptical about. She's like, if you look at our share it channel, there's just not a lot being shared there. So she's like, I just don't know if there's a lot of value. This is one of the things we're running into. So that's part of what we got to figure out is like, what are the real use cases and actual value that's being delivered or could be delivered. The other thing that she just said, I'll just share. One of the things that they're interested in, she's interested in, is they're thinking about organizing regular events or like token engineering career opportunities, and ultimately that could lead to some hackathons that could be using this AI system. And so it may be that we could help to start to put those together, like helping them to organize these events as a way of matching matching practitioners like the actual consulting firms and others who are doing this work and have jobs with graduates. So that this is an area where they're overloaded. They don't have the capacity to do that work, but she knows there's a ton of value there. So that's one of the things that we should throw into the mix, I think, when we think about projects.
Yeah, I will say that I would push back on that idea, but I do think that the value of the curation service is building a network and that building a community, and I think that bringing token engineering groups and communities closer together and making sure that we have good communication channels between all of us, and I think the curation service can do that. So yeah, I mean, even if the future of token engineering is AI, we still need to develop that kind of partnerships and associations around it to make it effective. And I just don't think it should. I don't think it's something that we should put as an afterthought or on the back burner. I do think it should be a priority, but I'm open to arguments and art logic, and so I just want to put that and have it stay in court. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we just have to, I think the next step is really looking at what, how these things might mesh, and how, we need the next stage of the strategy. We've done the work with kind of realigning our public goods funding into something that I think could be more sustainable, and I think there's some tweaks that we're going to need to do with that even more. But then it's like, okay, how does the engagement work that we want to do, like the community engagement systems that we've talked about in the last proposal, how does that fit with this AI thing, and how do all these, how does curation fit in, etc.
I'm adding a few other tasks in here. Just thinking of stuff that we have to get done. One of them is the conviction button shutdown. So to get some, I guess everyone here knows about it, but just to get some context, the vote was supposed to be published on the 20th. I think it was somewhere around that. And I did publish the vote, but because that was just on top of the opening of applications and all of that, I quite frankly didn't do the best job at reaching out to folks. So like I sent the vote to Griff and probably one or two people more, but I don't know. I could have done it better. So I guess the vote didn't reach quorum. So I guess we have to do it again. I did ask, or I told Gideon about it, but I don't know how we should go about it. Should I just publish it again or what?
Yeah, I talked to Griff about this, and is Tam still on the line? No. So I want to reach out to Libby about this, just to get her take. Griff and I, when we were talking about it yesterday, it's like, yeah, this hasn't really happened before, but like, it's not like it was voted no. It's not like the community voted and it was like, no. It was just like, we weren't able to rally enough people. So his take, and I agree, is that it's like, we should just do it again. We should note that we're going to do it again. Maybe make a comment on the post in the forum that we're doing it again, and this time like really make a push to make sure that we get the quorum. But before we do that, let me reach out to Livia and just make sure that we avoid any kind of snafus like what we had and misunderstandings like we had last time. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Some other things I've added, not for this sprint, but I've also added, I guess, to the backlog, one task to do fundraising and another one to do the specifications of the next round. And yeah, what else? I get the impression that we like this is 2 weeks. We probably want to do some more stuff. I just can't think of anything now.
I have one more. We're going to submit an ENS large grant application that will be a joint application between the TEC and the TEA. And I'll be writing that. So the goal will be to have a first draft. We won't have it submitted by the 16th, but we'll have a first draft. And then it'll be submitted the following sprint. It's ENS large grant. That's the term.
Thanks. I was looking for it. Okay. So that's going to be probably I'll just keep it on operational stuff. This is a proposal. Gideon do I just put it on the 15th, and this is for the current sprint. Okay. We can chat later to spec out what's it about. All right. Anything else?
There's one other thing that I might need some help on, maybe from Bear, is that the Academy thought that they were going to receive payments. They got this big optimism grant, but the money has not come yet, and now they're starting to run out of funds. And so we had a proposal that was for our joint operations. That those funds are sitting in our account, in the coordination team account. We can't get them the funds by just wiring it to them, because if we do, it will be charged a 17% VAT charge. So I'm talking with a lawyer right now, and Bear, I might just need your help on this. It's like, how do we get the funds to the TEA without them having to pay this 17% VAT or 19? I can't remember, 17 or 19% VAT. So yeah, I just might need some help from you, Bear, just with helping them to make sure that they stay liquid and can pay the bills.
Is that something
Yes.
that's going to happen strictly in this sprint, right? Just want to make sure.
Yeah, it has to. Sadly.
Okay. Okay. So let me see. Let's see again. By project. So let me just add this here very quickly. Okay. So for the grants program, let me filter by the sprint. Oh, let me progress or to do. Okay. So for the grants round, we have the closing blog post and the feedback form, which are not for this sprint. I'll put this on these three. Oh, shit, 1 second. Okay, let me remove. Okay, now. Capture learnings. That's a small document that I have myself. I'll put a date to this. I'll try to deliver it for next Thursday. I think that's no. Um, I'm actually I think we'll move this. I'll move this to the sprint number 3, just because especially because our round is more complex. It probably makes more sense to have that after we've done all payments, which are likely to occur on the following sprint, not this one. So I'll put this in the backlog. Hey Mitch, what's up?
Hey there, just listening.
Cool. We're just cleaning up our tasks and stuff. Okay, we have to make the copies. I have that for today because that's pretty urgent. Contacting Trusted Seed and the Angela for amplification. That's already in progress. And well, you did this, Gideon, so I'll sign it to you. And I'll put this just for tomorrow at the very least, but hopefully we can get all of this out of the way today. The copy for the reach out that we are going to do after this call. Have this for today as well. The matching boost. Well, yesterday was Rex's birthday, so if y'all want to drop him a quick note. But yeah, I texted him yesterday because he was on his birthday. He didn't pay much attention, but hopefully we start working on this early next week to get the script up and running. Payouts are blocked because we need the matching boost first, and then there's the signs with which where Bear is working with Asset Laser to get them done, and we have a bunch of them have been already delivered, pretty much all. Then internal operation stuff, we have to figure out how to send the money to the academy in a way where hopefully they don't have to go through the 17% tax, the right of the NS large grant, the vote to shut down conviction voting, to get that up again. Let me just add a quick note here. Is going to get Livia's input first. A document with overview of what's the next thing we're going to work on. That's on Gideon as well for this sprint. For both the ENS large grant and this document, I put the date for the very last date of the sprint. Is that fine, or do you? I don't know. This is this is more like a signal, but I don't know if you feel like you can deliver any of these earlier, or if you want to, or if the 15th is fine.
15th is fine. I mean, that's Angela gets back on the 15th, so that's my deadline, is so that she can look it over, and then we can both be fine with it, and then send it off within a few days after.
Okay, cool. Cool. The shutdown vote is I won't put a date because that's TBD. And this I'm working with Bear. I guess it's more of an ongoing work, not necessarily in this sprint, but I'll just keep it there. And that's it. That's what we have so far. And I'm like,
just really quick.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, just on the costs front, I think what would be more urgent would be to define the ones for sprint 1, so we can send compensations for that for April. So yeah, that'd be the only thing. I don't know if you want to add certain date for that.
What's the date payments are usually sent on?
Oh, well, it should have been sent on the 1st usually. So yeah, we're behind on that.
And is the only thing that's left the part of my side, right? I guess.
Yeah, just finalizing those costs.
Okay. So I'll put that as very urgent. Progress, and this is sprint. That's process. Okay. Okay. Is there anything else? I don't know. Like, I get the impression that, like, I feel like everything is in here, but I also feel like it is not. Like, I'm missing something, but I just can't think of it. Idea? Anything? If not, we can move on to the next thing. To write the copy and the tweets. But
I mean, I think the only thing is just load balancing. Like, because are these kind of like, do we need to load balance any of this work?
Okay, let's see. By people. Given the amount of work we've done, I have the impression that this is something we can manage fairly easy. And well, I guess just to be clear, here we can see that some people technically do not have things assigned, but remember that tasks are just assigned to whoever is sort of leading it. That doesn't mean that other people aren't contributing to all of them. I guess I'll just open it up and see if you all feel comfortable with the workload that's displayed here, or if you wish to, I don't know, have more, have less, whatever. Or well, maybe let's go one by one. You, Joseph. So far I have this. Let me know if there's anything you have planned for these 2 weeks that I can add. But yeah.
I was only gonna say probably only thing I put that's not here that yeah, the only thing that's not here is probably the comms report that kind of details or outlines, for the month of April, our statistics with regards to, total number of tweets, and then comparing it to March. And then also in that report has the what we done, what we were successful on, and also improvements, and then maybe like marketing strategies for the up and coming month or with regards to the spring. Apart from that, yeah.
No, go ahead, Joseph. Finish your thoughts, sorry.
Yeah. So I was gonna say yeah, apart from that, it's added supporting Nate with regards to the SPI, and then it's hosting basically like normal com stuff. Oh, and yeah, normal com stuff, normal greeter stuff, and like the social media stuff. But that's not kind of part of the sprint. That's kind of separate to the sprint, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a specific deliverable, it's probably best if, like, yeah, because that'd be very harder to track. Unless there's something like very specific that you're going to deliver, then that's fine. Now, if between the ongoing stuff that you have in communications and all these tasks, you feel like you can complete all of this in these 2 weeks, then it's fine. If not, just let me know and we can move things around.
Yeah, no, for the time being, yeah, it's fine. The only thing that wasn't on here was the conch report, which was actually deliverable.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that I think if there's time in today's call, I think it would be really worth it to go through Joseph's report. He showed some of it to me, and I think it would be pretty nice for everyone to look at that and some of the progress that he has been going on. Because I'm not too sure like when would be another like good time for like those type of updates to be provided. Yeah, you know, while we still figure out the new call structure, that's the only thing, and I don't think it would take too long, Joseph, but I think it would be nice for you to share that.
But is it done or just more like an update?
No, it's done. It's done.
Also, it's done. Okay. I'd say my recommendation for these kinds of stuff, I'd say, if there's time today, we can go through it. If not, we can go through it on a quick update on another meeting, and then for this stuff, that a deep dive into the report would probably be best fit for the communications call on Fridays. But we can surely go make a quick like a quick update kind of thing today if there's time.
Yeah, I think that'd be great, because also one thing that I've noticed is that sometimes not all of the members of the team are in the communications call. So when updates are presented there, sometimes it's hard for people to look at them. I think Joseph presented there like the report from last month. So I'm not sure if everyone got the chance to see it. That's why I'm bringing that up, that if there's time, I think it would be worth to presenting it while everyone is here.
Can you send the link to the report on here in the chat, Joseph, so I can link it to the task, please, later?
All right, no problem. I think it's in my private section within Notion, so I don't know how to. I need to know how to
Is
kind of make that.
Is that here?
Let me share my screen. You see at the bottom. You see at the bottom of your scroll down under public. You see where it says private. I've put it there, but I can move it to wherever you kind of to.
Yeah,
so
if you want, you can have here like let's do it very quickly. A page, and we can call it comms reports, and then you can have it here, and you can make a list of all the reports you make in.
Yeah.
And
Okay, I'll do that now.
Okay, let's continue going through this. Then myself, yeah, this seems to be pretty easy. Things I have to do as well. I mean, then it's more like process stuff, operational stuff. Like carry these things forward and keep working on the project management stuff and all of that. I'm not sure there's a specific deliverable there, so I'll probably just not include it here. But I do feel comfortable with what's here. Math of mine, he's not in the call, but also he usually works by request of Joseph or other people in the team. So that's why I guess that's why he doesn't have like a very specific deliverable. Does anyone have something that they think Marathon Man should deliver that I can add here, and then let him know if that's fine with him?
I think he's already delivered. I can show you the link that he's sent me. But he's delivered the TEC Match and Boost Twitter thread, and he's also I think he dropped something in the comms chat as well. I'll drop it in the chat.
Cool, thanks. That's content. Mine, okay. Project TDR1. Okay, and that's this sprint. That was already made. Done. And this is link. Okay. And the comms report is cool. Nate, do you have anything?
Yeah, so I guess you know, I guess that my question is regarding the sprint planning process and what we have here, because for me, in a way, this is to focus on, like, to set our priorities, but it doesn't mean that this captures everything that's being done currently in this 2-week period, and so I'm not sure exactly if this is something we should be adding our work to. Like, are we basing compensation systems off of this, or are we basing what kind of impact other than planning and prioritizing, and making sure that these tasks get done, and if there needs to be help, there's help. Do we take into consideration other work that's being done? Because I know that Marathon Mind is working on a couple of articles. He's done a lot of work with the reputation systems. I'm going to be implementing the curation service bot within the TEC and TEA in the coming weeks. And I'm not sure if those things should be included within the sprint, or if this is something that we're just using to guide us in setting priorities. Because the other tasks, they may not be priorities or be focused on it, but it doesn't mean that they're not being done. And so I'm just curious to know how we're using it outside of just the kind of setting the agenda for the upcoming weeks versus how they're interconnected with other systems that we're using.
So that's a very good question, actually. So the idea for this is to keep track of everything that the team has to deliver, no matter the project. So that's one thing. In an ideal scenario, all those things that you're chatting about, all the articles and all of that would have been planned in advance and included into the sprint with regards to priority. And so, for example, so ideally we would have so much work during a plan that we wouldn't have like a lot of room to go around and do some other stuff. But those things can also be tracked. The things that we shouldn't track are like tweeting stuff, unless there's like a very specific tweet need. But like I won't make one task for every tweet that Joseph makes just for the sake of keeping content up on our account. Other than that, anything that we want for sure the team to deliver, or that we want to just keep track of, like if what Marathon Mind of yourself is very important and maybe not a priority for this sprint, but can be connected throughout all the work and following sprints, that should be tracking here, just so that we can make sure that everything is getting delivered, that we can jump in, see progress on all fronts and all of that. But I don't know if that answers the question, but that's kind of.
Yeah, I guess it's just, maybe Bear, if you want to pop in.
It's a good question. Yeah, I think, like, similar to Nate, maybe also to bring some clarity. Are you thinking, for example, that all the work that is done as part of the roles that we have, should that also be included here, or not? And also, related with that, and also with, what I was saying, like in terms with the reports, the comms report that Joseph did, like, all of this work that is happening through roles or through these kind of like parallel workflows, when would be the time to talk about them, to like show progress, having that space and time to do that. So those are kind of like the two questions that I also had.
Okay, on the first one, this is supposed to be agnostic to everything. So anything that we have to keep track of as a team should be included. It doesn't matter if it's as a part of a role or if it's not. This is just to keep track of work. So like for example, let's say the report is important to the grants program, and technically it could be because this month it all has been about the grants program, so there's probably learnings about that. If we want to get it delivered as part of the grants program project, then that's something we want to track of. We want to keep track of as a team, and that's something that we are interested in getting. So that's something that should be included into the sprint and as a task. That's That's the first thing. I don't think it matters as much if it's a role or if it's not, or if it's a bounty, or it's just stuff that we want for sure to get delivered, and that is very high priority for us as part of the goal that we want to accomplish during the sprint. Can you repeat the second question? I forgot what it was.
Yeah, so also in regards with like time and space to talk about these issues, because for example, like the other example is figuring out the way in which we cost projects. That's been kind of like a task that it's ongoing, and that we could say it's part of one of the roles, but it's not necessarily part of a project, at least from where I understand things. But I do see like a task there that you created that I'm not completely sure what you mean with it. So that's kind of like where my confusion also comes in a little bit.
I do just want to say that I do think that separating the compensation system that we have away from the planning aspects, for me, I personally would say that I would prefer that these sprint plannings is just a method for priority making each couple weeks, where we say, okay, regardless of whatever else is happening in the TEC, we know that this is getting done, and then we're moving towards the next step and the next milestone and chipping away at this kind of broader picture that we're having. But I think the problem comes in when we want to track everything and make sure that everybody's compensated based off of that work. It starts to become the sprint board becomes very distracting, and we can't tell what is high priority and what is not. And so for me, I would personally like to see what we have like right here, where maybe not everybody has a task in a sprint for the 2 weeks, but we know exactly what needs to get done, and therefore if somebody is struggling or has an obstacle that they need to overcome, or needs additional help, the people that don't have tasks can plug in wherever they can. And it's not based off of any type of compensation scheme. It's just simply, this is what we need to get done as a group, and we go and execute. And each sprint builds on top of the next. And then we manage the compensation and everything else independently of that.
Yeah, so that's the idea. The idea of this is this board is more like a signal, a template, or how we want to call it, of what we have to work on so that we can keep track. But it doesn't mean that we have to have just everything in here, because just like you said, it might get distracting. So for instance, this past month we didn't keep track of a lot of stuff. Well, we actually delivered, and that's what's important, that we deliver. This is just one system to make sure that we keep on delivering. And as far as your question, Bear, on how do we present, I think it's important that we move on to separating stuff and giving independency. So with time, we'll see. I think we are already seeing teams emerge, and so for example, Joseph and Marathon Mine are very focused on communications and are working closely on that. We have now the academy that I think we can treat them as a team as well, with a bit more independent. But now we have the grants program, and now the AI stuff that's emerging. Each team is going to play a part, and each team should be responsible to keep track and to present what's relevant to the team. There's a bunch of stuff that's not that I can see. I guess presenting. Say for example, in the example of the report, presenting the complete report in depth to the whole team and to these meetings where we oftentimes have people, stakeholders outside of the team, it's probably not the best use of the time. So it's best if we make all these things a quick update, so people can see just a few bullet points of what's important, and then those things move to the meetings that are relevant. So in the case of the communications report, if you are really interested in knowing what's up with communications, you should make time to go to the communications call, or get in touch with Joseph so that you can schedule something apart and make some sense of the report if you cannot make it in time to the meeting. But that way we can keep, because like the thing is, there's no time to be wasted, and especially now with this sprint, every single meeting has a very clear intention, and we'll probably take up the whole time of the meeting. So the less things we can do on a single meeting, the more we will be able to focus and make sure we make progress on each sprint.
And a suggestion I would have is that we have a self-reporting scheme of some type associated with the end of each sprint, where we can actually report the work that we've contributed, and it can be verified by the rest of the group. And so if it's not part of that sprint, we at least have this practice of self-reporting, of saying, hey, this is what I accomplished this 2-week sprint, regardless of what was the priority, and be able to kind of review that during the retrospective as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because at the end of the day, I also think that going back to this idea of team centric, is that we're a pretty small team. We're really not few, and there's a lot of work that I think is relevant for everyone. For example, I've this past month and the grants program and all that, in parallel, I kept working on a lot of stuff with the org development stuff and financial stuff. So there's some progress there and some work that I've done there, but I'm still not sure where does it fit, like where would I present it? Because, like, for example, especially in these topics, I think those are topics that are relevant for everybody, because we talk about accountability, about compensation, about the way we organize ourselves, roles, and all stuff. I mean, I would understand if we were like a bigger team with different departments, that probably not everybody needs to know what everyone's doing. But in this case, and especially with things that are related with everyone, I would say that it is important to have these certain moments to share that, right? To create those spaces. And also, I feel it's a practice that builds trust in the work we're all doing, right? I think it's way easier to trust someone if you're looking at the work they're doing, and more in the circumstances that we are, right? That we are a new team, that we are in this type of space that we know it's pretty unpredictable. So building on that trust, I think it's important, and most of that trust usually is built by, like you say, like by delivering and by showing proof, right? So yeah, maybe this with what Nate is saying about self-reporting, I think there could be some adjustment there that we could take on.
Yeah, and I guess that doesn't mean that we cannot make space for one particular thing to report, but I would rather us have just discuss a separate a particular space than have a set meeting that we have to report stuff that, quite frankly, most of the times is not that important. The things that you work are not things that we are reporting on every single week. So if something happens and we have to communicate something, we can either see in which ceremony we can take some time or schedule another call if needed. But I wouldn't want us to reserve time for stuff that isn't really relevant to everyone, and that oftentimes has a special time for it. Because, so for instance, communications already has a weekly call, the creation service already has a weekly call, and there's almost all projects have its own space. So it's best if we keep those space reserved instead of using all calls for all meetings for everything, which isn't really a good use of everyone's time. So maybe, so for example, if there's something already that you want to present, as far as organizational development, maybe you can throw a message to the DM group that we have between the three of us, Gideon, you and I, and we can see where it makes more sense to present it. Because I'm not still sure myself of how the new calendar is going to look like, but we can just figure it out that way.
Yeah, I think we could put it as a part of the process within the retrospective process. So maybe before we start the retrospective, we kind of, we have a place maybe in the Notion where we can self-report, and then we can review that self-report before we start the retrospective. And that way we just allocate a small, 15-minute time period or gap to really review and recognize each other's work, and then take that into consideration when developing an adjusted compensation scheme that matches our current work structure.
Three quick things. One is, I think the idea of reporting out what we did individually on sprints is probably a good idea. I just want to be super careful that we don't get into like over documenting everything, right? Like, so that we can keep moving quickly. Like whatever we do, bullets, like just super lean. Keep it lean, but lean but legible. Like it's like because I've seen this happen like in other places where God, when I was at Microsoft, like oh my God, there was just so much documentation and stuff. So I think it's good to document, but just keep it simple. And then the other thing is, I do think in some ways this last sprint was super clean in the sense that there was really just one project, and so I think that Isaac, one of the things that you're hearing, some of the feedback is like, okay, now we're looking at like what happens when a sprint includes multiple projects. So like a project might actually be org dev stuff or finance stuff that Bear is pushing forward, or SPI. Like I think that's a project. When there's new work that's being defined, that's a project too. So I just think there's two things I'll just throw out in terms of like ways of like thinking about these other projects. Clearly, there's one type of reporting out where the results of a project, progress on a project, like compensation, for example, we definitely want reporting out, like the ability to report out the results of like where things are on that. And then I think the second thing is where a project is like, wow, I need help. Like we need to swarm on this. So we just went through a big example of that with the Gitcoin things where like all projects were dropped except for that one, and people swarmed around that. So there may be some times where it's like really obvious that like all work needs to drop and swarming must happen all at once on one project. But there may be some cases, and Isaac and Bear, like I think this is one of the things that we should talk about, get some ideas, and then come back to everybody on. Is like, what about in the kind of the middle of the road cases where it's like, maybe SPI, or the curation needs like a little bit of focus for, like 4 or 5 days where it's like, hey, we really need to do blah, blah, blah. What do we do in those situations? Can we take one of the days to focus on that if it's one of the priorities for the sprint? Like, I don't know what that looks like, but it seems like there's some situations like that we'll probably need to address.
Yeah, we'll get I'm not too worried about this. I think we'll get good and better with time on planning and executing all this stuff. But seeing what I presented last week, I just noticed, and I just remembered, I guess, the weekly scrum, which probably is the perfect week the perfect ceremony to present all these updates, which pretty much is a ceremony, a meeting to see what everyone is working on and if anyone needs help on any particular task or project. So that's probably it. One thing that probably is important, or that we can probably do then, is so for example, in the case of Bear, which probably is the one who works more like siloed-ish. So like the organizational stuff is mostly Bear that does it with help of Gideon and all of that, but it's mostly on his own. So ideally we would probably have some very specific things that maybe you want to deliver during the sprint, and you can present on those, and that way we can keep track of that as well. We can make sure you yourself keep accountable of the things you intentionally want to deliver to improve whatever thing needs to be improved on the organization, and that also gives you the space to present updates on those tasks during the weekly scrum. which is the ideal time, and that I guess that applies also to communication. So you, Joseph, and Martha, mine work on a bunch of stuff, but there's always going to be very particular things that you want to improve, that you want to deliver during a time period. Those are included into the board just to keep track of them as a team, and that way you can also use the chance, use those tasks to have very specific and measurable deliverables that you can also present on and discuss during these weekly um, Scrum reviews. I think that's we'll see and we'll adapt as we see fit. But for now, I think that's the way it is kind of supposed to be, I guess. If we go just by the book, and then we can just adapt if we need anything else.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think we can give it a try, definitely.
Cool.
So it
So
would be
you,
kind of like, sorry, just to summarize that, we would use the sprint also to include like projects, but also any other type of work that we do, even if it's part of a role. Is that right?
yeah, remember this is agnostic. This is not for projects or for roles. This is for work that the team has to complete. Anything that the team wants to complete during the set period is something that we would want to keep track of, and yeah, mostly things that are like we are sure that we want to deliver or that are easy to measure and to deliver. Because of course, there's always that are small things that we are always working on, or we work on the side that we don't have to keep track of everything. But anything that we want to as a team work on, that should be in here, no matter the project or the role or whatever.
Hey, I just want to say, Isaac, thank you. This is a tricky, as we're moving to as we move to agile and like really adopting it. There's like a bunch of questions that are going to come up as we make this shift, but I really appreciate the thoroughness and like how much you've dug into like this process and how to do it in the right way. Um, I think this has been a relatively smooth process of moving us into this next way of working together. So I want to thank you. Praise.
Yeah, I guess just to finish and to continue, I also think that this is more challenging because of the size of the team. Because probably what would be ideal is that uh, we had teams that were very focused on particular stuff. So, for example, communications as a separate team would have its own organization, whether it's with Agile or not or whatever, but they would keep track of themselves. Um, I don't know, the grants team would keep track of themselves and have like internal projects, but all related to the grants team and all of that. Right now, because we are a single project that has to balance like every department or every I guess department of the organization, then it's a bit more tricky to navigate between all the different um, things and all everything we have to look after. Um, but I think should work just as fine as well. Um, just very quickly to continue, Nate, just let me know if there's anything particular that you want to deliver this sprint and you want everyone to sort of be aware and keep track of. And I guess I'll make you, Gideon, the same question. Does what you have in here seem like a reasonable amount of work, or you wish to move something, or
Um, yeah, I think the main thing I'm concerned about is in the short term, like getting this stuff to like the trusted seed and getting it to Angela, like in the next day. So the other stuff I'm not that worried about. You know, the grant proposal and the project overview. I could definitely use some help with the what we do next. But I'll do a first draft of that, and then some input. The main thing is the short term thing. Like, how do we turn that around really quickly?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So seems like we are more or less done. Probably next week on the backlog refinement, we will work more on things, and maybe we add or remove some of the things that are in here. But let's move on. The last thing we had then was just to work on communication stuff, so we can do either a few Twitter drafts very, very quickly. Should be like 1 or 2 lines with a clear call to action, so that we can get them scheduled on Twitter for them to even be tweeted out automatically, and then work on the copy for the trusted seed and the academy. I don't know which one we want to do first, but
I do have a quick question for everybody. I'm just seeking consensus on whether or not, because Zero X Block Boy from the Token Launch Simulator, who mentioned that he wanted to get a little bit of support from the TEC in terms of exposing his project, but also getting a community around it. He had about 5 or 6 people who were wanting to participate in launching the Token Launch Simulator, and was wondering if we could create a channel for him within the TEC Discord. And I mean, I don't see a problem with it. I think it'd be really, really nice to have, supporting a project like this in our Discord. And I'm just seeing if anybody has any objections to it.
I think maybe that can be used as sort of kind of the structure of the SPI. So I see it maybe not exactly the same, but could be used as part of. So yeah.
Yeah, does anybody else have objections for it? If not, I'll go ahead and push it forward. But I just wanted to run it by you guys first.
Yeah, no objections. And actually, I would even say I agree with what Isaac's saying. It's like, I think we should be thinking about like future rounds, future Gitcoin rounds. Like, that may be part of the package. Like, if you want, you don't have to. When you submit a grant to us, you don't have to set up a channel here. But if you want a place to collaborate, awesome. We'll help you set that up. Like, so then maybe that's just, there's like a nice package of stuff that comes with participating in a round.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get that set up then.
Cool. Let's do this stuff then. I guess we just very quickly. Which one do we do first? If not, we can just pick one randomly. But
yeah, Isaac, one just once. I don't know if everybody needs to be on for this. Like, if people feel like I'm not going to add that much value to this, maybe they can drop off. I don't know who we need absolutely on this. I'll stay for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop just because I'm preparing for the Twitter Spaces upcoming in 10 minutes. So, yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think me too. Thank you guys. Thank you, Isaac, for leading the call. Yeah, take care, everyone.
Sure. Thanks. See you later. Okay. So maybe. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'll stay on, but I'm gonna be like creating the Twitter space, but I'm gonna have myself on mute so I can kind of listen into kind of like what you guys are tweeting about, talking about and stuff.
Okay. Cool. That's fine. So maybe we work first on the copy because that's a bit more urgent, and the Twitter content can be made, throughout. It doesn't. Yeah. We can have it here, public miscellaneous, and have I'll just duplicate this.
Yeah, I'm looking at what Ivy said. Prepare a set of questions in this document. Let's see. To get started, we prepared a set of questions in this document. Oh, hold on. She shared a document with me.